Hello, everyone, and welcome to 100 of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host, Logan Landers. Today, doing a special 2022 AFC West Division preview. Of course, I'm your host, Logan Landers, and join me on this amazing Monday morning talking some football talk in the NFL is, of course, my co-host, Madman Mark Mancini. How you doing today, sir?
I'm always doing good, brother. I always look forward to Mondays with the madness. And man, oh
Yes.
man, the olive branch from Dixie that you gave me, man, I love the ATL.
Hey, it's always a pleasure having you on talking some ball each and every week. Of course, if you enjoyed the video or some of the podcast, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe each and every single week on Facebook and YouTube, our Instagram as well as our LinkedIn. Also, check out our podcast, well over 1,000 episodes over there with amazing evergreen content, which all that is, if you don't know, it's just stuff you can go back and look on, like our amazing Legends interviews, history specials, and so much more. Just go over there, check us out, and turn on notifications on YouTube so you don't miss a single episode. Well, Mark, we are 3 weeks into the NFL season, getting geared up to start week 4. We're talking the AFC West. Let's kick it off with these Kansas City Chiefs, sir. How do you think they're going to fare out the rest of the year?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I had them number 3 in this division. And boy, I'll tell you, they've got a big battle coming up here, with Tampa Bay on Sunday. That a lot of people think that could be a preview of a Super Bowl, but I didn't have the Chiefs doing anything. But the Chiefs have shown me that even losing Tyreek Hill, they still got a guy named Patrick Mahomes that can lead them to the promised land, and they are just putting teams away. It's unbelievable to see what Andy Reid is still doing there in Kansas City.
Yeah, you're not getting a tough loss against the Colts, only lost by 3, so it wasn't that big of a loss, but good win for Indy. They needed that one. In Kansas City, a little slight stumble there. But so far, man, they've looked really good this season. I expect them to kind of maintain their dominance. And like you said, I thought they were going to take a slight step back, losing a good bit of their receiving core with Tyreek and with Juju also. But man, they have really looked good so far. Like I said, tough loss against Indy, but I think they can really make it up.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out. Usually teams, a lot of people put a lot of stock in after 3-4 games. I say it's got to get into about 6 or 7, and that's where you start to see teams shake it. They separate from the pretenders and contenders here. That's where I like to look at. You see a lot of guys pass judgment after 3 games. We need to bench this guy. We need to do this. I think you're going to start to see something after 7-8 games. And we'll find out what Kansas City's going to be. I mean, the AFC is a dogfight from one week to the next. You don't know what's happening. Look at Indianapolis loses 1 week, to Jacksonville and then bounces Kansas City. So go figure.
Yeah, you're not kidding. And speaking about not putting a whole lot of judgment into a few weeks here, let's talk about, surprisingly, I'm saying this, the worst team in the NFL right now. The only team without a win, the Texans have a tie. But the team that is 0-3, let's talk about the Las Vegas Raiders, who have just seemingly stumbled to get out of the box, man. Can they right this ship? I know they said there was a private meeting, with Mark Davis and the coach. Do you think they're going to have enough time to turn this thing around?
Well, the Lions went 4-0 in the preseason 1 year, and then they finished the season 0-16. The Raiders went 4-0 this preseason. And now they're 0-3. But, it's another one of those things. I think people are freaking out and everything. Yeah, they've got snake bitten with some of these losses. Tennessee yesterday, they fell behind against Arizona. They basically had that game, and then they took their foot off the pedal. You saw the first week against the Chargers. They're not in a panic mode. Mark Davis might want to come out and talk to these guys, but I think it's just all premature. I think they're going to be all right. I still think they'll make the playoffs. I know that teams that start out 0-2 and 0-3 are really behind the 8 ball, but 17-game season, I'm not freaking out. I like the Raiders. I had them to win the division. I still think they'll win the division. So, it's just getting themselves in track, getting, acclimated. Devontae Adams and Carr and all this. We don't need finger pointing now. We might need it 9 games in, but not now.
Right, and we'll see how they can do. Like I said, a slow start. Of course, brand new head coach with McDaniels. Everyone's calling for his head already 3 weeks in. It's like, what's this guy doing? Does he deserve to be the coach of this team? And and like you said, there's 17 games this year. There's extra games, and like you said, 0-3. You never want to be that, but you have a little bit more time to make up for it now. So we'll see how Vegas can do. Now let's talk about the Broncos. Let's move on to a team who, like I said, they're 2-1 on the year, but haven't looked super dominating. They've been kind of iffy. How do you think Denver and Russell Wilson will fare out the rest of this year, Mark?
Well, it's just they're just trying to get to know each other. It's like getting married. You move in the house, you start to buy the car, you start to live under the same roof. You're trying to figure everybody out. He's got a good target there in Sutton. They won yesterday 11-10. It's only been the second game in NFL history, 103 years, where there's been 11-10 game. So that was remarkable. But the offense needs a little work, but boy, Russell Wilson carried that game yesterday against San Francisco. And I think the big shocker was getting over that reunion up in Seattle, putting that behind them. I don't see the Broncos doing much because it's a tough division with all these top quarterbacks. But I will tell you this, they're going to improve. They've got something to build on. I just had them in the cellar.
There you go. We'll see what they can do the rest of the year. But let's talk about this final team here. Let's talk about Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers. How are they going to do the rest of the year, Mark? We know that Herbert's dealing with a little bit of some injuries already early on. Can he bounce back from these? And can this team become a powerhouse in the West?
Well, they lost from getting into the playoffs last year because they didn't win a game in Houston. And they circled that was one of the teams that kept them out of the playoffs. Well, now the mindset is Jacksonville a team that's going to keep us out of the playoffs? And Jacksonville's a very good team that came into L.A. Doug Peterson's a great coach. I always thought he was a great coach with the Eagles. He's installed a culture there, with Trevor Lawrence and everybody. And we'll talk about that next week. But I think the Chargers got to really look at themselves, Staley here as a head coach. I don't know if he's lost the locker room. They had a closed door meeting yesterday. You've got a lot of great veterans in there. You got Khalil Mack. You got Bosa there. You've got a great defense. The offense with Eckler and Herbert and everything. This team stumble around at 1-2. It's just, you can't have this. And I mean, they talk up a good game. They talk up what they're going to do. But boy, I'll tell you, if they go back to Houston, the scene of last year losing a game and lose this game, they're 1-3 heading to Cleveland. All eyes are going to be on the Chargers more so than they'll be on the Raiders.
Yeah, and we'll see what this team can do. Like you mentioned, I love Justin Herbert. He's a tremendous player. Hopefully he can overcome these small injuries. We know his ribs they're taped up, but he's a fighter, though. Give him credit for that. He wants to play, wants to help his team. It was just a rough performance, something I don't think anyone really expected the Jaguars to do to them the other day. In a tough defeat for this team. Of course, like you mentioned, Coach Staley, we'll see how he can fare, if he makes it the rest of the year, if he's going to be there after this season. It's going to be interesting to see a lot of storylines already in this division, like we all kind of figured just a few weeks in. And like I said, the records might not be what we all thought, how they'd all be 3-0 right now and all be fighting, but that is just the joy of football each and every week. Now, Mark, let's get your final thoughts, your final predictions for how the AFC West will be. Who's going to be the top dog this year?
Well, I don't ever like to go against my word. And I think, with consistency, it makes people believe. So I had the Raiders to win the division. I got the dead crow in my mouth right now, and I'm spitting it out. But I think the Raiders will figure out a way to win this division. I mean, I look at them, and in December, it's going to be some good games. They got the Rams, they got the Steelers in Pittsburgh, so they're going to right the ship, I believe. They got two high-powered offense to sit back and do nothing, and they're getting acclimated, like I said, with Devontae Adams there. So the defense is good. I like what they're going to do. I like the Raiders to win the division. I had the Chargers number 2 in this division, and I'll tell you, I'll still stick with it because, like you said, Justin Herbert's a hell of a quarterback. They got a great running back in Eckler. They got receivers here. They got a defense. I think they'll figure it out. The benefit is you get Houston to even up your record. Then you go to Cleveland. We'll find out. They got some games against Seattle where they can pretty much maybe get fat there. But, when you look at some of their other games going up against the Rams and stuff, that could be a killer. But I like the Chargers number 2. Number 3, I've said this before and I'll say it again from the start. You won't see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. You'll see the Jaguars in the Super Bowl before you see the Chiefs. And I said that when the Chiefs lost to the Super Bowl. I don't know. They're doing good right now. They're sneaking up on teams. They could have took advantage of yesterday and really opened up the division, but they brought everybody in the pack. I've got the Chiefs at number 3. Number 4, I like the Broncos with Russell Wilson as a quarterback. They've got stability there. They haven't had stability since Manning and Elway. So they've got stability at quarterback there. The question is, they're in a tough division. It's kind of like, my favorite tennis guy was Andy Roddick. He just was born in the wrong era with Sampras and everybody. So that's how I look at the Broncos at number 4.
Yeah, and like I said, it's going to be a very interesting division how this all shakes out for me. I got to go with the Raiders number 1. If I don't, I think my dad's not going to return any of my phone calls anymore. He's a big Raiders guy. So I got to put them number 1. He's been harking every week. Just, man, what's this team doing? So I got to put the Raiders number 1. I think they are going to make a comeback, though. They got way too much talent to be in the dump. So I got them number 1. I'm going to go – this is a toss-up between these two teams with the Chiefs, with the Chargers. I'm going to go with just how the Chiefs have looked so far. I'm going to give them the slight number 2 spot. I'm going to go with the Chargers right behind him, maybe a game behind them for number 3. And then I'm with you. I think the Broncos, they've got some good pieces, but I just don't think it's all there quite yet. Maybe give it another season. But I'm not seeing it so far with this team. They're not gelling right. The offense isn't clicking like it should, like I thought. The defense is all right, but it's just not what I thought this team would be so far coming out the gate. So those are my predictions for the AFC West. Mr. Mark Mancini, man, thank you once again. Coming on the show, talking your football knowledge, talking that talk, walking that walk. Hey, it's always a pleasure having you on. Like I say, if you enjoy the video, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Go live each and every single week. Check us out Facebook, YouTube, and on our podcast. Available every single day. Spotify, Apple Podcast, iTunes, iHeartRadio, or wherever it is you enjoy listening to podcasts. Over 1,000 episodes, well over 1,000 on our Facebook and YouTube channel. And once again, turn on notifications so you don't miss a single episode. To my co-host, Madman Mark Mancini, thank you so much once again, sir, for coming on and talking some football, doing these previews with me each and every week. I've been your host, Logan Landers. Have a great day, everyone. Enjoy some football. We'll be back with another live episode. We'll